Hello, I'm David Stewart, and this is History in 5. Today I'm going to tell you 5 things you should know about the political genius of James Madison. Despite many differences, Madison and Alexander Hamilton formed a powerful combination. Unlike the small and reserved Madison, Hamilton was flamboyant, assertive, but Madison's special gift was finding ways to blend his own talents with those of his most influential and brilliant contemporaries, like Hamilton. Together, Madison and Hamilton agitated for a national convention to invent a new form of government, what became our Constitution. Then they jointly led the fight to ratify the Constitution, an effort that included their joint authorship of the Federalist Papers. With George Washington, Madison helped launch the new government under the Constitution. For months before becoming president, and then through his first year in office, Washington's closest advisor on every political issue was James Madison, who also was the leader of the new Congress. Their partnership was most effective in securing adoption of the Bill of Rights. Ironically, Madison actually thought the Bill of Rights might not be very important, that in times of crisis, the government would tend to ignore constraints on it. He even called it a mere parchment barrier. Jefferson, his close friend and neighbor, agreed on the need to form the first American political party. They feared the powerful central government that Alexander Hamilton was creating as Washington's Secretary of the Treasury. Like many of the Founding Fathers, both Jefferson and Madison despaired of partisan politics. The culmination of these path-breaking efforts came in the presidential election of 1800, when Jefferson defeated John Adams' attempt to win a second term in office. Americans' new constitutional government had passed the most critical test for any government, as power was peacefully transferred between political adversaries. In 1789, in the first election under the Constitution, they ran against each other for a congressional seat from Virginia. Madison won that tough contest. Then in 1808, after Monroe returned from a diplomatic mission to Europe, he was bitterly resentful of what he saw as Madison's failure to support him and a treaty he had negotiated with Britain. The two men didn't speak for 2 years. In 1811, after 3 years as president, Madison resolved that the United States would have to go to war with Britain. He turned to Monroe, who was a far more dynamic military figure, as his Secretary of State and his closest advisor. Together, the two old friends brought the nation through the difficult War of 1812. In so many ways, Dolly was a contrast to Madison. She was outgoing and charming. He could be reserved and stiff in public. But between them, they built a national political culture through 16 years of nonstop social events in Washington. And Madison's success flowed from something that's often overlooked about them. They were a lot of fun. Madison himself in smaller groups was an inveterate storyteller and wisecracker. James and Dolly roughhoused. They ran races against each other on the porch at Montpelier. Sadly, we see them now only in stiff formal portraits, when in person they were warm and very, very human.